Ever since The Force Awakens hit theaters at the end of 2015, the buzz around the internet has been about Rey and her heritage. First, fans were convinced that either Han and Leia were her parents, or that she was Luke Skywalker's daughter. Now last year this time, people were convinced that Rey was the reincarnation of Anakin Skywalker, and they were claiming that Anakin wasn't really the chosen one, or that he didn't get it right the first time. Now by the summer, fans were convinced that Rey was Emperor Palpatine's granddaughter. Well, last week a new fan theory came out from John Negroni, the author of the Pixel Theory, so let's take a look at it. What's up, Star Wars fans? My name is Prince and I am an urban acolyte, and I've had a few people request that I take a look at what's being called the lightsaber theory, so I'm going to share my thoughts on Mr. Negroni's speculation in this video. Now, to briefly summarize the theory, John says that if you pay attention to everything going on around the Skywalker lightsaber in The Force Awakens, you'll realize that it's the key to discovering Rey's identity, and everyone connected to Luke or the lightsaber either provides clues or they actually know who Rey is. Well, at the beginning of the movie, we see Lord San Tekka and the Tuono villagers who are members of the Church of the Force. Now, according to John, Lord San Tekka is possibly connected to Rey. Because of the proximity to Nima Outpost, Lord San Tekka is possibly watching over Rey from afar. Additionally, the Millennium Falcon being on Jakku also serves as some indication that Rey is equally connected to that ship. Since both Lord San Tekka and the Millennium Falcon are on Jakku, John believes that Luke played a part in Rey being brought to Jakku in order to hide her from Kylo Ren and the First Order. When we jump ahead in the story to the events on Takodana, we see Maz showing an interest in Rey. She asks Han Solo who the girl is, and they have a conversation that takes place off screen. Well, John says this is the director's way of showing that Han and Maz both know who Rey is, while keeping the audience in the dark. During this time, Rey manages to wander into the basement, where she finds Anakin's lightsaber, which is in the same chest that Obi-Wan Kenobi used to store the lightsaber in his hut, because it was brought there by Luke Skywalker. John says that Maz Kanata set the whole thing up for Rey to find Luke's lightsaber and have her force back vision so that Rey could figure out who she is and why she was left on Jakku. Now, John says the events in the force back vision are not random at all. Everything she saw involved a lightsaber because the lightsaber was present during everything in her vision. She first saw the fight on Cloud City when Luke learned that Vader is his father. She then saw Luke with R2 in front of a fire. Now, John says this event shows the destruction of the Jedi Order that Luke hoped to rekindle. Now, upon learning that Luke was passing on the lightsaber to one of his students to be his successor, his nephew Ben completed his turn to the dark side, becoming Kylo Ren. John says part of Luke's reasoning, well, is because he sensed that Luke was being seduced by the dark side, and possibly by Snoke. Kylo Ren destroyed the Jedi Order in an attempt to regain the lightsaber and a missing part of Anakin Skywalker's heritage, but he had no intentions of actually harming his uncle Luke. This is why, in the vision, Kylo Ren strikes down one of his own men who was attempting to attack his uncle Luke Skywalker. Luke took that opportunity to escape with not just his father's lightsaber, but also with the daughter of the fallen Padawan who was chosen to succeed him. He brought her to Jakku in order to hide her from the First Order should they discover that a fallen Jedi had a child so strong with the Force. So I want to start off by commending John on putting all of this together in his theory. If he had put this video out last year, it probably would have been one of the top Rey identity theories, but after the director commentary on The Force Awakens Blu-ray that came out last November, well, some of his assumptions are not correct. So John started out mentioning that originally the lightsaber was going to be the MacGuffin in the film, and this is true. An early version of The Force Awakens was going to show that the lightsaber actually contained the key to locating Luke Skywalker. I talked about that in my video on Finn's lightsaber scenes being cut from the film. In that video, I also talked about how the force back vision was going to be different. It was going to tell the story of what happened to the lightsaber after Cloud City and how it came into Maz's possession. Some of that still made it into the theatrical version. The events in Rey's vision do not really make sense. When we see Luke with R2 in front of the burning temple, it's not the same location as Kylo Ren with the Knights of Ren. The warrior killed was not a member of the Knights of Ren. but he's just some kind of warrior. I've actually said in several videos that I think he may be some kind of pilgrim from a group like we saw in Jedha. Now, according to what was reported about the original Forceback vision, Maz was present at the battle, and she actually stole the lightsaber as she was collecting Jedi relics for her own personal collection. To address the presence of Lord San Tekka, the Millennium Falcon, and Rey all being on Jakku, well, it's easy to say that this is a coincidence, but it's one of those things where the Force works in mysterious ways. Rey has been on Jakku for as long as she can remember, and I'm starting to think that, well, if she wasn't born there, she came when she was still a toddler. I don't think the Millennium Falcon has been on Jakku as long as Rey has been there, and based on Poe Dameron's comic book, I don't think Lord San Tekka has been on Jakku longer than 5 years. It's my opinion that Lord San Tekka did not come to Jakku until after Ben's turn to the dark side, and this raises the most important flaw to this speculation. John says that Luke brought Rey to Jakku after Ben's turn and the destruction of the Jedi Order. The Bloodline novel showed that Ben and Luke were traveling the galaxy together, meaning Ben had not yet turned. I believe Ben's turn involved him learning the truth about Anakin Skywalker being Darth Vader. Now either way, Ben's turn happened when Rey was 14 years old or after. She was already on Jakku, so it's not possible that Luke brought her there after the death of her parents at the hands of the Knights of Ren or Kylo Ren. Like I said, if this theory had come out before the Bloodline novel gave us any idea when Ben's turn might have occurred, it would have been more plausible. Additionally, there is no mention of Rey in that novel by Han or Leia. J.J. Abrams stated that Leia and Rey never met prior to their hug at the end of the movie, and the hug was not because Rey is her daughter or because they knew each other. Leia went through a similar traumatic experience being tortured by Vader in A New Hope, aboard the Death Star, the same way Rey was tortured and interrogated by Kylo Ren on Starkiller Base. Leia was also acknowledging their connection through the Force that she sensed in Rey. And if you read the junior novel of The Force Awakens, there's actually a conversation between Leia and Rey where Leia tells Rey how she considered undergoing Jedi training with Luke at one time when she was younger. So I think John did a solid job putting together an entertaining fan theory. For me, there are some glaring holes that make this not possible, but who knows? It could turn out to be right for reasons not mentioned in his video. But what do you all think? Do you think that the Skywalker lightsaber could be the key to Rey finding out who her people are? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll be checking back to see what you all have to say. If you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and click the subscribe button so that you can take your first steps towards becoming an urban acolyte. Use your love for Star Wars to help you become a force for change in your community. I'm going to share my thoughts on Kylo Ren in episode 8, and I'll also be posting a shorter version of my teaser review video from last week. So make sure to check back for those videos. And while you wait on those to post, be sure to check out some of my other videos on The Last Jedi if you haven't seen them already. Well, that's all I've got for this video, so thanks for watching. Y'all keep on breathing, and may the force of others be with you, always.